religion since 622 AD, and we need to have individuals that stand up and say that. And then you went on to say that.
Well, let me ask you this: have you ever?
I definitely have a question.
You're not asking a question. You're just reading a statement. Now,
sir,
I'm going to ask you. No, I'm going to.
Sir,
because I know what you're trying to say. All due respect to you too. Have you ever read the strategic memorandum of the Muslim Brotherhood that was written in 1991 by Muhammad Akram that was found in an FBI raid in 2004?
This Muslim student realized he made a terrible mistake the moment he came in contact with Alan B. West, and decided to ask the decorated soldier a silly question.
I study international relations over here at Boston University. I've staffed elections, worked on elections, worked in campaigns, worked in courts, worked with Homeland Security on countering violent extremism initiatives. So I'm a patriotic American who wants to go into public service to serve this country.
You see, moments like this always pop up the same way. A confident student steps up with ready-made credentials and notes pulled up, feeling prepared. He's smart, no doubt, and seems to be serious and clearly believes he has the upper hand. And honestly, at first, it looks that way.
That about myself. I just want to bring up something that you've said in the past that I was hoping to ask you a little bit about. So let me just pull it up. In a previous campaign event that you've had, let me just pull this up right here. You once said, and I will quote, "We already have a fifth column that is already infiltrating into our colleges, into our universities, into our high schools, into our religious aspect, our cultural aspect, our financial, our political systems in this country. And that enemy represents something called," and I quote you, "Islam."
The young student thinks he's about to put Alan B. West on the spot, but he isn't prepared for what follows next. You can almost sense the gotcha moment coming.
Islam is a totalitarian, theocratic political ideology. It is not a religion. It has not been a religion since 622 AD. And we need to have individuals that stand up and say that. And then you went on to say that.
Well, let me ask you this: have you ever?
I definitely have a question.
You're not asking a question. You're just reading a statement. Now,
sir,
I'm going to ask you. No, I'm going to. No,
sir,
because I know what you're trying to say. All due respect to you too. Have you ever read the strategic memorandum of the Muslim Brotherhood that was written in 1991 by Muhammad Akram that was found in an FBI raid in 2004 in the basement of a house in Northern Virginia?
The thing is, conversations don't always go where you plan them to go. Sometimes all it takes is one simple question to flip the entire direction. But before we get to what that student said that completely exposes his ignorance, let's show you what else happened when Alan West got into a similar confrontation with a female Muslim student.
Assalamu alaikum, Lieutenant Colonel West. My name is Yasmin Yunus. I am a junior here at Boston University. I'm also a Muslim and also an Iraqi American.
When this second student stood up, you could feel the mood change again. Because this one isn't coming with policy language or academic framing. She comes with anger and hurt.
I just have a really quick question for you. So on June 10th, 2013, you tweeted, "Bill Cosby said we should be more like Muslims. You mean honor killings, beheadings, suicide bombings? Hope you're kidding, sir." I was just wondering, what makes you think that I, a young Muslim without a violent background, is more likely to commit an act of terror or violence than you, a man who spews hate speech, slanders my religion and my people, and admitted to using improper, unlawful, and downright disgusting interrogation tactics during your time in my home country, Iraq, which violated Articles 128 and 134 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Yep, and I got... Way to go, guys. And I paid a fine of $5,000, and I retired from the United States military. Let me tell you something. When I have a responsibility for the lives of 600 soldiers under my care, I'm going to do what is necessary without hurting anyone else severely to make sure that my men come back to their husbands, to their wives, to their children. Because when I stood before all of their families in that pre-deployment brief, I made that promise. And I don't run around talking about being proud of what I did. But if I had to do it again, I would. And if I had to take an action to save you, I would as well. So that's what I want you to understand. And maybe one day you get to grow up and you be a combat commander and you have lives that you're in charge of. Now let's talk about the other things. I want you to stand up. I want you to fight. We've got this thing going on right now in the United States of America about female genital mutilation. I want to see more people stand up and speak out against that. We got a young lady by the name of Linda Sarsour who has talked about female genital mutilation and also Sharia law. But yet she's getting an invitation to go give a commencement address. I don't think we should be rewarding people that have those type of beliefs. But yet we have a person like Ayan Hirsi Ali that we don't allow to go on college campuses and speak. So yes, I'm going to kind of put my finger in your chest, and I want you to stand up, and I want you to fight. And I want you to start joining with us to correct the things that, as you are saying, is perverting your religion. Well, then let's find out how we can keep this from continuing on.
The student reads West's old tweet about Bill Cosby, then threw the question straight at him. And she even went further, accusing him of hate speech and even bringing up his military record in Iraq. How absurd. It's a good thing West Allen landed her on a good spot.
I don't want to see another Fort Hood. That was my last duty station. The fact that I live in a country where government still calls that workplace violence, that's disgusting to me. The fact that we have San Bernardino, Orlando, the fact that you had what happened here in Boston, and we had a magazine that put that person on the front cover. I don't want that to happen, and you should be speaking out about that as well. So you can be upset about some of the things that I say, but I'm going to continue to say it because you know something, I do have a right to free speech. Yep.
All right, hello, sir. I know I thanked you earlier, but again, thank you for your
It's
service.
what we do, man.
You're an amazing individual.
God's amazing. Nah, no. Tom Brady's pretty amazing, too.
So I want to start off by saying my personal belief is that if you give someone something, then you can't take it away, whether that be marijuana, whether that be something down the line.
Are you trying to give me some marijuana?
Whether that be down the line of
Yeah.
food stamps or other benefits, such as you mentioned under President Johnson. But I'm going to bring it back, since we are around college students here, and talk a little bit about financial aid.
Mm-hmm.
So right now you're seeing college tuitions going way up, way up, way up, way up. And
Well, y'all got a 3.4% increase here? Yeah. 4.
and basically,
Oh, let me get it right.
What?
He's part of the administration. No, I'm just kidding.
what I'm wondering is, if we continue down the path, and I receive financial aid as well,
Yeah.
if we continue having the government supply financial aid and keep allowing these schools to demand as much as they want, how do we get out of this habit of saying, stop raising tuition when the government's just going to supply all
You're
the
absolutely right.
additional-
You see this kind of moment everywhere now. Someone hears a broad criticism and instantly takes it as a personal attack. It happens online, on campuses, even at family dinners. One person talks about an ideology or a pattern, and another hears, "This is about you."
I don't know. I mean, what do you want me to do? She said, well, how do you think I can effectively use a degree in women's studies? But and then her thing was that, well, maybe I can just come back here and be on the college campus and continue. That's not what we want. We want people to get out into the world and get that experience. And maybe you can come back into the college. But we want you to have that degree system that allows you to go out and be a contributing member. And I think that right now what we are doing is we're feeding money into this thing called financial aid, into our colleges and universities. And let me tell you something. I went back to my old alma mater, University of Tennessee. Sir, I got to tell you, the Student Athletic Center, I would have never graduated. I just would have stayed in the Student Athletic. I mean, they're building a new university student center, all of these things. But what are we doing for the right type of majors, and what are we doing to make sure that we have the right degree programs so that we're getting these productive students to come out? So I think that we're going to have to sit back and look at what are we doing? Are we setting up our students so that they can go out and be successful, or are we burdening them with this enormous amount of debt, and they're going out into a private sector, or they're going out off campus and they don't have the jobs that are necessary for them to be able to pay off this debt and take care of themselves. So that's a big thing that we're going to have to look at. And I got to tell you something else. I mean, you know, some of these professors getting a lot of jack out there. I mean, Elizabeth Warren got, what, a couple $100,000 for teaching one class. Am I right? I don't know, something like that, close. I mean, I'd like to get a couple $100,000, you know. Hey, can I get maybe $20,000 just for being here tonight? I mean, I don't know. No, but I'm saying is we have to start going back and look at these things.
West's answer follows the same path as before. He separates individuals from ideas. He's not saying this student is violent. He's saying violent movements exist openly, and pretending they don't helps no one. It's like talking about gang violence without accusing every kid in a hoodie, or criticizing corrupt politicians without hating every citizen.
And so that's another one of those systems we have got to refine. If you go back and remember Jimmy Carter, we had health, education, welfare. And then they split them out into 3 different government agencies. And you think about in the late 70s, what the budget for the Department of Education was then and what it is today. Just look at that. And then ask yourself, has the standards and the quality of education in the United States of America improved or decreased? It's decreased. And so the mentality, and I can tell you this, I was up there where the sausage is made. The mentality in Washington, D.C. is that if we throw more money at it, that's how we solve the problem.
If the thing is, emotions often blur lines. Once pain enters the conversation, history, policy, and intent all get mixed together. Now let's get back to that Boston University student and the answer he gave to West's question.
I've ever read the strategic memorandum of the Muslim Brotherhood that was written in 1991 by Muhammad Akram that was found in an FBI raid in 2004 in the basement of a house in Northern Virginia.
Yes, I have. And if you were the Constitution of Medina, the Constitution of the Medina was the last document that Prophet Muhammad put out before he passed away. And
did you ever read the Treaty of Hudaybiyah?
No, but sir,
I mean, we can go back and forth on historical documents.
Sir, with all due respect, sir, I haven't even asked my question.
I know that.
From long credentials this student laid out at the start about who he is. It's clear he knows his opinions, but they are about to make him cry. He studies international relations, works in politics, helps with elections, even works with Homeland Security. And strangely enough, it seems everything he's ever done all his life somehow led up to this, and he's not going to lose that easily, not even to a scholar like Alan West.
So let me ask you the question. So, you've called Islam a theocratic political ideology.
Okay.
So my first question.
So what is Iran?
So my first question is, how do you define a religion? And from there on, what makes Islam not a religion in your eyes? And then from there on, are you suggesting that American Muslims, such as myself, are not worthy of religious protections and religious rights as enshrined in our Constitution?
I did not say that.
So explain to me, how do you define a religion?
In other words, he wants it clear. He's patriotic, cares about the country, and wants to serve it. But you couldn't tell his real MO until he read out West's old statement where he called Islam a political ideology rather than a religion. His goal is clear. He wants him to trap him into sounding extreme. But West ain't going to play along.
My house plenty of times to go over and fight in Kuwait and in Afghanistan and Iraq for the ability for individuals to have freedom. But if you want me to sit here and deny history, if you want me to sit here and act like some things have never happened, I'm not going to do that. I do not have the onus to, make a statement about what is fact. Okay? We can go back and we can read the Quran, we can read the Hadith, we can read the Sunnah, we can compare it up with history, and we can see that there was a definite departure from a basic religious belief in 622 AD, and you can see the verses, how they changed. And I understand Islamic jurisprudence, and I understand the Arabic term nakish, which means subsequent verses of the Quran supersede the previous verses, but they're all still the verses of Allah as given down to Muhammad. So what I'm trying to tell you is when I look at the Islamic Republic of Iran, when I look at Saudi Arabia, and how interesting it is that Saudi Arabia was just put on the Commission for Women's Rights when they have the greatest violation of women's rights whatsoever. I'd have a problem with that, having 2 daughters, okay? So I will tell you this, I'm happy to work with you, but I think we need to come to an understanding that there is a problem. And if you want to continue on, as we just saw current administration, last administration do, with obfuscation, denial, and dismissal. I think one of the worst things that President Obama did was when he stood up there in August of 2014 and said, let me make myself very clear, ISIS is not Islamic. Well, I don't know what the I stands for. It's not Southern Baptist, it's not Mennonite, it's not Presbyterian. So you have to take the enemy for who they are and what they say they are doing, especially when the leader of the caliphate of ISIS has a PhD in Islamic studies. So I'm going to listen to him and I'm going to take him for who he is. But I will tell you that I thank you for standing up and doing what is necessary, just the same as I thanked those interpreters and translators that stood there with me fighting in Iraq and fighting in Afghanistan. But if there's to be a change in the Muslim world, if you want to call it that way, we need the young people to stand up. And the sad thing that we have not done in the United States of America, we have not stood up with you, just the same as the Green Movement in Iran, just the same as we misread the Arab Spring, just the same as we stood next with the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. We have made some very bad.
When Alan brings up historical treaties, legal ideas like abrogation, and how later religious texts override earlier ones, the student keeps trying to pull it back. And this is the real question he came here to ask.
With all due respect, sir, you have not answered my question. What defines a religion and why is Islam not a religion?
Religion is
Because in
man-made
your
dogma.
words,
No,
Islam
no,
is not
look.
a theocratic idea.
Since
Very
622
nice talking
AD,
point
since
you've given me,
622
sir.
AD, it has not reflected itself as being a religion, but yet it can still call itself a religion. That's the whole purpose of, like I said, the theory of abrogation.
If you noticed, after West shut his logic down quickly, several other speakers would have caved in. But he refuses to deny history. That's his line. He keeps pointing to real-world examples like Iran and Saudi Arabia, places where religion and state power are deeply merged, and where basic freedoms, especially for women, are limited.
We have got to understand that there is something that is happening that we need to work together to dismiss. And when I see the Organization of Islamic Cooperation that does not understand that there is a problem with Islamic jihadism, when I see an organization like the Council for American Islamic Relations that are, doing things to shut down free speech and shut down people that want to talk about this jihadist problem, then I see them more a part of the problem than a part of the solution.
And this is where his simple question really lands. If extremist groups openly say they act in the name of Islam, if governments openly rule through Islamic law, why should the West pretend none of that has anything to do with Islam at all? He's not saying all Muslims agree. In fact, he thanks Muslims who stand up against extremism. But he argues that denial helps no one. At this point, the student is not only frustrated, the audience can see right through his confusion.
Do you believe that Muslims are not condemning terrorism when they're the largest victims of jihadism and terrorism?
Well, I tell you something, if they were condemning terrorism, we probably wouldn't have as much terrorism.
What do you admire most about the non-confrontational approach of his debate style? Kindly let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching and please subscribe.